welcome to another episode of Stuck in My Mind podcast. I am your host, Wize, and today's guest is not your average coach. He's a lifestyle architect for men who is tired of being told to play small. He's a straight-talking, no-fluff lifestyle coach, helping men embrace their full masculine power while building freedom-based lives on their terms. Whether he's coaching men to six-figure tech jobs with 20-hour work weeks or helping them unlock inner strength, Argustic is on a mission to help you become unapologetically yourself. He's the founder of King's Corner Community, host of the King's Corner podcast, and a rising voice in the pro-masculinity movement, reminding men that being a man is a privilege, not a problem. His bold message: create an outstanding lifestyle by choosing you first. Welcome to the show, Argustic Dunbar.
Yo, man, I'm glad to be here. I appreciate that introduction. Phenomenal. A plus.
Thank you. It's something I've started to do more. Is really introduce my guests.
Yeah.
But I thank you. I appreciate it, man. So let's just jump right into this, man. What was the moment that made you say, "I'm done living by society's script"?
You know what? That is a phenomenal question. So I'll tell you. I had a relationship with a sugar baby, right? She had left. I was sad. I won't say heartbroken. That's a little bit too dramatic, but I was very, very sad, right? And I hired a coach. His name is Miles Cunningham. Shout out to him. And he runs what he calls the masculine identity membership, right? And he told me a couple of things, two things. I learned lots of things, but two things stuck out. One, he said, bro, you can't lose a woman. She only makes room for someone who's more compatible. And I'm like, that makes a lot of sense, because if she was compatible, or if we were compatible, we'd still be together, right? And the second thing he told me, now to provide context on this, I am very, very big on human nature and science and biology. Like, I can read about the brain and the human animal, right, all day. I love it. And the more I understand about humans, the more I understand about men, the more I understand about myself, right? It's really that simple. And once I'm understanding of myself, I don't need to judge myself. It's just like, oh, okay, that's my nature. That's why it's so damn difficult for me to be with these kids all day. That's not in my nature, okay? And I love to study emotions, okay? So anger, joy, sadness, disappointment, like each of them are generated by thoughts that we have in our subconscious that we have yet to bring to our conscious. And I found that once I bring the thought from my subconscious to my conscious, the emotion goes away. It's what I've learned, right? And I can nerd out about that a little bit more. But essentially what he told me, we were talking about embarrassment, right? We were talking about, because one of his rules is like, we don't care what people think about us. We do what we want, not because of outside forces, but because we want to do them. Mm-hmm. And the argument I hit him with, and I just knew I was going to be right. I was like, well, there's what about embarrassment, right? When you look at embarrassment, what it makes us want to do is like kind of just hide and not be seen and be left alone, right? Whenever you're embarrassed, naturally, that is your body's response. And I look at the history of human civilization and like how we came to have it. And essentially what it was, it basically became a thing because imagine it's thousands of years ago and you and I live in a tribe, right? There's 150 people. And let's say you do something egregious, just terrible, right? And the thought is, if I get kicked out of this tribe, I've not got to forage for my own food, my own water. I've got to fend for myself, and I'm probably going to die. Henceforth, we developed embarrassment such that we would sit still, stop doing whatever the hell that we were doing, so that we're not ousted out of the tribe. That is where I believe embarrassment comes from, right? Like I don't think anyone can prove it or whatever. That's the science's best guess based on what I've read, right? And so when I presented that to him, I'm like, yeah, no, I think it's probably wise that I care about what people think, or I care about fitting into society, because that's where, it came from, right? It was meant to keep us safe, okay? Or keep us alive. And he was like, and this, I'll never forget this conversation. He said, But being ousted from the tribe and the society only matters if you don't know how to get your own food, if you don't know how to get your own water, if you don't know how to fend for yourself and stay alive. He's like, if you had the proper knowledge, wisdom, and abilities, then you would be you. You would say what you want, you would do what you want, and you wouldn't have to worry about being ousted or not being able to survive because you have survival skills, right? And so that's when I realized, like, okay, basically on what he just said, there is no benefit to me wanting to fit into society. There's just no benefit to that. And I think about all the great men, right? From the Michael Jordans to the Tony Robbins, the Tom Brady's, the, any great man, and I don't mean like a good man, I just mean a very successful, influential man. They tend to stand out, right? And that is part of masculinity, right? One of the defining characteristics of testosterone, or a man who has a higher testosterone, he's more disagreeable. He's more willing to say no. He's more likely to push back, right? So once I had that conversation that day, I literally just stop and think, I don't care what people think about me. And when I do catch myself caring about what people think about me, I ask myself, what would I do if I, in this moment right here, right now, if I truly didn't care? And I proceed.
Okay. How did the idea of king energy first come to life for you?
That's a good question too, man. So I am I'm used to being pampered. I'll just put it plainly. I'm used to being bathed, rubbed, put lotion on me, talk to me kindly, nicely, all these. That's how I'm used to being treated. And if a woman's not willing to treat me that way, then she just doesn't like me enough. Okay. Yeah. And I remember the first time I was like getting bathed by a woman. And now not just bathed, because that means like a tub. I don't like tubs. I do table showers, right? So it's kind of like, imagine like a shower room, but there's a table and you're laying down and you're kind of getting, someone gets a sponge or a towel, or like I was getting bathed for the first time. And I was like, wow, this shit is amazing, right? Like there's no way you can't be relaxed, right? Like to me, that feels like love. And I remember the first time it happened, I was like, man, this is amazing. This must be what kings felt like, way back in the day. And I started to think to myself, well, what else did kings have? They had multiple women, right? They had power, they had influence, they had riches, and like to top it off, like they didn't have running water, they didn't have AC, they didn't have electricity, they didn't have a lot of the look. If you're in America today, you have more luxuries than any and every king has ever had. So I looked at all that and I'm like, bro, I am a king. Like I feel like a king in this moment, and I'm going to live as such day to day, right? So that's where it came from. That's where it started. And then I call myself, the king maker, because it's like once you start winning at such a high level, it's like, well, what's next, right? It's helping the next person win at that level, right? And I think iron sharpens iron, and so I'm here to literally just live my life out loud, be the best version of me that I possibly can, and inspire other men to do the same.
Okay. How do you define an outstanding lifestyle, and why do most men settle for less?
Good question, man. So when I say outstanding lifestyle, what I mean is, let me ask you something. Well, have you ever seen someone do something and you're like, holy shit, I didn't even know that was possible?
Yes.
And it maybe inspired you to want to do something similar?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean by an outstanding life. Like it's so, like I look at Hugh Hefner and I'm like, how did he pull off what he pulled off? All those women loving him at I think he had like 7-8 girlfriends at once. Or you look at somebody like I don't know. I don't, is someone a trillionaire? Whoever the first trillionaire is or is going to be or whatever, like that's an outstanding life. Like to do something at such a large scale, right? That it makes someone else say, damn, dude, that's impressive. That makes me want to go after my dreams if he can do it. And that's the other thing. I don't ever see anyone do anything that I believe that I can't do.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. I truly do believe whatever I put my mind to, I can accomplish as long as I really, 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 truly want it. So that's what I mean when I say an outstanding life, one that inspires someone else to say, damn, dude, that's cool. I want to go for my dreams too. And why most men settle, why most people settle is fear. It's fear, because you typically have to give up something to get what you want. Like you can be good, but in order to be great, you've got to give something up. It usually means you got to spend more time on something and less time on something else. I see so many men who are in these marriages where they say things like happy wife, happy life. Those are the most miserable men on planet Earth, in my opinion. I know, because I've been there, right?
Yeah.
And they want a great marriage, right? But it's like they're afraid to leave and lose half their stuff to this person, so they kind of just stay out of fear. And the way I live my life is I don't live with regrets. I will die with no regrets. Okay, I'm going to do any and everything that I set my mind to, and that comes with the unfortunate event of sometimes of like really setting your sights on something and then getting it and then realizing, man, I don't want this shit. But I wouldn't have known had I not gone for it. Yeah. Right. So fear is the reason why most people end up settling.
You talk a lot about masculine identity. What's one lie men need to unlearn immediately?
Oh, man. Oh, a lie that men need to unlearn. You know what? I'm going to be original with this. That you get a woman by giving her what she wants. It's not true. I tell men it really and truly does not matter what a woman wants. And we could solve so many problems if we just took that whole line of thinking out of our heads. Like, it does not matter, bro. Because if a woman wants a relationship with you and the only way she can get it is if you give it, right? Then she must do what it takes to earn that from you, right? There's a lot of similarities, or there's very few differences between dating and like business, right? Or sex and business. And I can say, I really, really, really want to work at Google, but they're going to have rules and requirements for me, right? If I want to work there. So I can say, hey, I really, really want to work at Google and I want to do nothing and get paid well. It's like, they're not going to let that happen. They don't care what I want. They want me to provide value to them in exchange for income. So many men, they get lost in this, like, oh, happy wife, happy life. Or, the wife wants this, she wants a car, she wants kids. And it's like, that's how we end up with burnout. You put what she wanted and what everybody else wanted ahead of you for so long that you no longer know who you are. I talk to so many men, and that's the problem. That's their issue. I know, because again, that used to be me. But no one's going to appreciate you more than you do. No one's going to cheer on you more than you do. No one's going to want what's best for you more than you. Okay. I tell men that women are selfish. Okay. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I think selfishness is good. So when I say selfish, I mean they know what they want and they're willing to ask you for it over and over and over again. Okay. Until you give in or until you say no. And what men do, I think, is the exact opposite. They're so selfless. So that might be another thing I think they need to unlearn. Like, you ever been on an airplane and they say, hey, if the cabin pressure goes down, put your mask on yourself, then others. Men do it backwards. We try to take care of everyone else. And now we're burnt out, broke, busted, and disgusted. And no one cares. Why would they care about you more than you care about you? So I really do think living the best lifestyle possible is based on you being selfish, saying no to others more, and saying yes to yourself more. My life has never been better.
You help men break into tech and scale to $250K a year. Why tech and why now?
So I've been in tech now for over a decade, almost a decade and a half. And so it's just my profession. This is just what I've been doing. It's the thing that I know easiest. It's the thing that I can turn my brain off and do. It's almost like puzzle solving. Like, it comes very, very simple to me. I find it fun. And so, because you know how they say that which you have a lot of access to, you tend to take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
So I've just been in tech for so long. I've been living the tech lifestyle, making tech money, working remotely, all these things that I have had it so long that I didn't realize that there's a whole world of people out here who are really struggling. They really, really do want to get in. They just have no idea what the hell they're doing. Right. So I just realized I have an opportunity. Now, specific type of technology that I teach and show people how to use is called RPA. It's short for robotic process automation, which doesn't really tell you anything. It's a marketing term. Basically, think about it like this. When you're coding, what code is just instructions that you give to a computer to make it do a certain task, right? The thing about coding, though, it's a relatively difficult skill to learn by yourself with no support, no mentorship, no guidance, no nothing. Because there's a thing called syntax, and syntax is basically like writing sentences, but within code. And just like in a sentence, you need a period, you need commas, you need punctuation, and if that's off, then your sentence is not grammatically correct, right? Same thing with code, except you can have 200 lines of code and you can be missing one colon and the whole thing doesn't work. So it's a very tedious thing to learn. Now the thing about RPA is that it's like coding, but it's significantly easier, significantly simpler. The example that I give is that let's say you build homes, let's say I build homes. Let's say you build homes by using hammer and nail and wood and you get on your knees and all that. Let's say that I 3D print homes. So I push a button, I print a wall. I push that button 2 to 3 more times, I print 2 to 3 more walls. I push another button, I print a roof, I put it on top of the house, boom, it's built. Right? So it's just going to be faster for me. The learning curve is going to be shorter for me, and I'm going to get good at this quicker than you're going to get good at building homes the way that you're doing. Right. Mm-hmm. The average RPA developer today is earning $130,000. And quite a few of them, at least the ones that I know, the real players in the game, they're working multiple jobs. Right. So that's how they're making $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. And now you say, why now? I got to the point where my taxes were insane, bro. I was working so many jobs. Taxes were crazy. I was told I needed to start a business. So that's why now. That's why I initially started it. But the amount of relationships and the amount of just help and service I've been able to render to the marketplace has been really, really cool. So it's been more rewarding than I ever anticipated.
Okay. What's one mindset shift that transformed your bank account and your peace?
My bank account and my peace. My bank account and my peace. I would say this idea of creating from a place of rest. We live in the Western world where we have what I call hustle culture, right? Mm-hmm. Which is max out, do as much as you can, don't do enough, do extra, do more. And at some point, it's almost like, bro, when is enough enough? Like, I have a mentor who I love, man. Dude's a multi-millionaire, and he was reviewing some kind of article that somebody wrote about Elon Musk, and he was like, look, this guy works 16-hour days every day for 10 to 12 years straight to make, $1 billion or whatever. And he was like, bro, you can keep that. He's like, you can keep that. I'd rather be at home, every day by 4:00, and I make several millions. Right. And when I heard him talk like that, I'm like, bro, that's what I want. I'm not out here competing. There's always going to be somebody with more money, more fame, more success. I want to live a lifestyle on my terms, right? Where I'm not working all damn day. I'm done by like 2 or 3 o'clock. I've got time to spend with my family, with my kids. I've got time to go see a comedy show. I've got time to go get a massage, right? So there's this idea of creating from a place of rest and knowing that enough is enough, right? The goal that you set is the goal that you set. Here's the amount of work that you need to get done, or here's the amount of input that needs to be done, and space it out over enough time to where you build in time for rest, because rest is important too, right? It goes work to accomplish something, rest, and then celebrate. Resting and celebrating is very important. And I think that in our culture, we only focus on work. We don't focus on rest, nor do we focus on celebration.
Was there ever a time you doubted your masculine energy was too much? Was there ever a time that you doubted your masculine energy was too much?
Oh, all the time. All the time. I can be very direct. I can be very brash. I can be very abrupt. And that's just the way I talk. That's the way my dad talks. So, he's my father. So I get it from him. But I started to realize that my tone can rub people the wrong way. inadvertently. And I've also learned that I can say the exact same thing, same exact word, same exact pace. But if I change my tone and soften it, the message is received a lot better. Right. So there was a point in time in my life where in my young 20s, I was definitely an asshole. I liked getting under people's skin. I definitely liked call it jonesing or going back and forth. And until I got my feelings hurt, I said, you know what? I'm not doing this no more. This does not benefit me. Only Black people do this. I don't think any other race does this as an adult. So yeah, that used to be a thing back in the day.
Okay. Hold on. How do you personally navigate relationships while staying rooted in your masculine frame?
I actually find that very easy to do. It's very simple. My rules are very, very, very simple. One, you must have requirements for women. You must have requirements for women. Most men don't value their time. Most people don't value their time. And most men are sad. Most men are lonely. And what they'll do is they'll get a woman or they'll get a girlfriend or a sneaky link or whatever you want to call her, and they'll just spend time with her inadvertently. Like she doesn't have to qualify for his time. And then when they are spending time together, they're not doing anything productive. Okay. And I say that any time I'm dealing with any woman, she's doing something for me. She has a role to play. I have a schedule. I have a set routine, and she's going to fit into my schedule, into my routine, or it's just not going to work. Because if you start to do things for women, now you're simping. But when the woman does things for you, she's attracted. Right. So every relationship has the pursuer and the pursued. Right. Every relationship has a power dynamic. There's never any two people in a relationship that like each other equally. One person always likes the other person more, even if it's only a little bit. Okay. And from my experience and my research and all these things, it just makes for a better relationship when the man is the one who is being pursued and the woman is the one who's doing the pursuing. The person who is being pursued gets to be with the one who loves them. The person who's doing the pursuing gets to be with the one they love. The one who is getting pursued, they don't have a high and low of the emotion. It's more of like a consistent, like, they're cool, I like them, type of thing, but they get consistency. Okay. The person who is pursuing gets the highs and lows of love and anger and despair and all these other things that come with relationship. And that's the thing about women. Women need emotional volatility. Women are chaotic by their nature. Okay. So it just fits, that role fits them better. Where men mess up, they swap it and they are pursuing a woman. They're chasing a woman. But bro, if she's running, that means she doesn't want to be caught, at least not by you. Right. Because that same woman you're chasing is chasing someone else. So, I'm not going to lie. I started rambling. I'm not sure I remember the question, but hopefully I answered it.
No, you did. How has fatherhood shaped your views on leadership and legacy?
Fatherhood. So I've been a father since 19. So literally I graduated high school. A year later, I had a child. So I've been a father this entire time. And so much so, I mean, I'm 30 something now. So I'll be coming up shortly on having been a father longer than I had not been a father. And you said on legacy and leadership.
Yes.
Me personally, so leadership to me is a few things. It's service, it's leading by example, it's being willing to have tough kind of conversations, be honest with people, right? Being able and being willing to have confrontations when necessary. You said leadership and legacy. I don't really think about legacy, to be totally honest with you. Maybe I'm not old enough. Maybe I don't care enough right now. But at this very moment, man, I just care that my legacy is, bro, this guy did what the fuck he wanted to do. He got up every day. He meant what he said what he meant, and he lived the lifestyle that he said he was going to. And when he was wrong, he said, hey, I was wrong. And when he was right, he said, I fucking told you. I was right. Right. And so that's it, man. And I totally believe that no one makes it out of their parents' homes unscathed. Right. Both of my parents were drug addicts growing up. They're both clean now. Very grateful for that. But at the same time, like, you ever heard that phrase, hard times make strong men make good times make weak men.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm in a generation now where all of my friends are far more successful than what their parents were, and our kids are far softer. Right. So, like, do I think that my children are going to make it out of my home without something being scarred or me having said something that really hurt their feelings and they still feel that way in their late 20s? It's probably going to happen. I'm going to probably say all kind of shit. Right. I'm going to do the best that I can, though, just the same way that my parents did. Right.
Yeah.
And that's all I can do is just do the best that I can do.
Okay. What's your advice for men who feel like they're late to the game?
In terms of what?
Everything. Careers, love.
I would say it's never too late to reinvent yourself. It's never too late to reinvent yourself. And here's the thing, bro. Like I said, I'm in my early 30s. I can't wait till my 50s. Men don't reach their highest earning potential till their 50s. Right? That's also when the most women want you. So, like, if you're under 50, it's 55, I think. So if you're under 55, bro, you still have time. And at the end of the day, bro, I heard Andrew Tate say this, and I do believe it to be true. He says, whether you're homeless under a bridge and you're surrounded by good friends, or you're in the air on a private jet flying across the Pacific and you're with good friends, he's like, that's the best that life gets, period. Like, after, like, regardless of the money and the fame and success, it comes back down to relationships. And I only associate and really call people friends who add value to me and who I really genuinely feel as though care for me. And I have a very strong friend group, right? And I make friends everywhere that I go. So yeah, man, it's never too late. And just realize that not having what you want doesn't mean that you're late to the party or anything like that. Everybody doesn't have what the fuck they want. Like, we're on a constant pursuit of getting what we want. And then once you do get it, guess what? There's going to be some more shit that you want that you don't have, right? So it's like, there's no need to judge yourself compared to anyone else. It's just get up and go become the best version of you, right? And another thing I'll add to that is progress equals happiness. So if a man feels like I'm not where I want to be and I'm behind and I'm late, it's like, well, what are you progressing on? I guarantee you, if you were progressing on something, you'd feel good, right? If someone weighed 500 pounds and their goal was to get to 150, the moment they saw the scale hit 498, they'd be excited. Why? Because they're making progress. Do they have what they want yet? No, but they're on their way. And if they're consistently making progress, and they're consistently happy.
Can a man be masculine and still vulnerable? And how do you personally balance that?
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that. Yeah, man, I'm very different in this regard. I cry. Okay, I've cried several times in my lifetime. I actually enjoy crying. Okay, I don't give a fuck what nobody thinks. It is a biological function meant to help you when your emotions become too overwhelming. Okay, crying and throwing up, both those two things. I don't know about you, Will. When I do those two things, where I feel way better than what I did before I got done doing those things. So I don't cry often, but I do believe that, I don't know if vulnerability is the right thing to say, but I think that transparency and authenticity is a superpower, right? People, we're all human, bro. And there's some people who are like, man, I'm fearless. I'm not scared of nothing. It's like, bro, yes, the fuck you are. Again, fear is a biological function. You're afraid of something. And I tend to get people to open up and trust me rather quickly because I have nothing to hide. And I don't give a fuck what they think about me. I'm just open and honest. Like, hey, yeah, man, I did this. I had, a relationship with a girlfriend. I've been cheated on several times. I've cried, I've boohooed, and I've taken all that. And now I've gotten better. So when I don't care what people think about me, therefore I share everything, my shortcomings, my flaws, my vulnerabilities, all that. It typically gets them to open up and say, damn, bro, this is a real genuine dude. And then they feel comfortable sharing their flaws and vulnerabilities and all that shit there too. So, and I think it's also really, really hard to have a quality relationship when you're not being totally truthfully like honest about how you feel and what you're struggling with, right? I think that a lot of men, maybe our parents' generation, like, they didn't really have therapy. They didn't have outlets. They didn't have like the ability to work a corporate job and make six figures and then, spend that extra time reinventing themselves or reading books on therapy or emotions. Like, they just didn't have that. And so I just know the best version of me is able to accurately identify all of his emotions. He's able to communicate them. He's able to be open and honest. And I think that so many people so many so much conflict comes when there's miscommunications
Mhm.
and when there's a lack of vulnerability, right? Like I have a friend who like me, and I have like, this is one particular friend, and he will literally say, he's like, hey bro, that hurt my feelings. Right? Like he'll come out and say that. Men don't say that, right? Men don't say that. And so because me and him have that kind of conversation or that kind of relationship, we never really have conflict because it's like, my bad, bro. I didn't mean it that way. This is what I meant. He's like, oh, okay, I got you. Right. And when you learn how to have effective relationships and communicate effectively, I would argue that it's not possible without vulnerability.
What role does your faith or spirituality play in your mission?
So I have a habit of going from one extreme to another. Okay. So growing up, I was forced to go to church by my mother and my aunt. And my mother was the woman who would like shout and scream and pass out, and they put the little fucking cloth over her. And I'm just like, this is so embarrassing. Please let me go home. Right. And so as I got older, I really, when I say older, I mean 18, 19, 20. I really like shunned religion. Like, get that away from me. That's ridiculous. I can't see a God in the sky. You think he's the reason that the surgeon did well? What about all the, years of study that the surgeon put on himself and all that? And I was very much a hardcore like atheist at one point, right? And then I realized, bro, that's too much fucking energy and effort. I don't care. Believe what you believe. Just leave me alone. And as I'm starting to grow and mature, I start to, get mentorship, because self-love and self-investment. So there's no amount of money that I'm not willing to spend on me, right? Even if I pay a mentor $5,000 a month, I'm paying him, but I'm investing in me. Okay. Cause I'm extracting wisdom. And one of the things that I learned is that there's some good stuff in the Bible, man, regardless of whether I agree with all the principles of the teachings. And you then start to learn a lot of the religions are based off all the same stuff. They have a lot of the same principles and virtues and things like that. And one of the things I really and truly believe is that if the Bible says that our job, if the Bible says that we are made in God's image, right? That means that we are all gods to some degree. Not the God, not your God, not, a big God, maybe a little God, a lesser God, but a God, right? If we're made in the image of a God. Because if I said I have a dog, or if I have something here in the image of a dog, you would say that's a dog, right? Mm-hmm. So if we are all gods, and the Bible says that the job is for us is to become more Christ-like, meaning to become more like him. To me, that means to improve my state of mind, my state of being, like to become the best version of me. Sure. And it also aligned with my idea of selfishness, of doing what's best for me. So now when I think about spirituality, I don't think of religion. Right. If you look at spiritual or spiritual, it basically means things unseen, feelings, emotions, songs, music, words. Like you can't see any of these things, but we know that they exist. Yeah. Right. So now when I think spiritual, I think of it in more of in a tangible way. It's just things unseen. And every man is two men, right? You have your physical body, right? You want to strengthen that. That's playing sports, lifting weights, drinking water, those kinds of things. And then there's your spirit, the spiritual man, right? Yeah. These are or your spiritual muscles. These are things like courage, faith, right? Fear is spiritual. You can't see fear, but you can feel it, right? Mm-hmm. So there's definitely a spiritual world. Whether there is or is not a God, I don't know. Maybe I don't care. I just know that my job is to become the best version of me, right? And that is in line with all of the religious texts out there. And yeah, bro, I mean that's really it. Spiritual stuff is very big to me. I still have much more to learn in that regard. Speaking of spirit, bro, I'm a man of comfort. I fucking love comfort. You see, I'm in my Versace robe now. Like, if it's not comfortable, it's not for me. Some men are like, fuck comfort. Yes, you get too comfortable. I like comfort. If you don't like comfort, go sleep under a bridge. So what do you need a house for if you don't like comfort, bro? Everybody likes comfort, right? And that's a spiritual thing, right? So one of my challenges is like, as I become more successful, I spend more money and things like this. Like, I need to remind myself that you need discomfort too. Like, it's not comfortable when I'm in the gym. It's not comfortable to have uncomfortable conversations. It's not comfortable to spend $50,000 a month on marketing, right? But I must grow to be the kind of guy who can do all those things and not get too comfortable with comfort, if that makes sense. Because too much of anything can be a bad thing.
Oh no, you have to make yourself uncomfortable. That's what drove me to start the podcast and do what I'm doing. Is I stepped out of my comfort zone.
Absolutely.
Made myself uncomfortable and started doing stuff that I wasn't regularly doing. And so that's what led me to build up the platform that I'm doing.
Yes, sir. Congrats to you for that, man.
Thank you.
It can be difficult.
Oh yeah, it can. What's one societal trend that's killing male confidence right now?
Thinking that masculinity is bad and femininity is good, when in reality we're just two halves of a whole. Like we both need each other. So there's the red pill community, and then there's feminism, right? They are equal opposites. Like feminism existed, and men's response to that is like this red pill shit. And feminists hate men, and red pill men hate women, right? And it's just like, no, bro, like both those extremes are stupid. We need one another. If one of us stops existing or stops having sex with the other, the whole race or the whole species goes extinct, right? And so I think this comes from an inability to understand one another, right? An inability to understand one another. And so, yeah, man, this whole thing about masculinity and femininity, I think we need to appreciate the differences, right? So I remember I used to think like one of the things the red pill guys say is, oh, women are delusional. And they'll bring a bunch of women on a panel and then they'll laugh at them and ask them a bunch of questions and they'll realize the women are dumb and they're delusional. But it's like, no, bro, like delusion is their superpower. Like they've been delusional their entire life. They're going to continue to be delusional. That is part of womanhood. Okay. Just like I think guys are dumb, right? Sometimes where like, well, like if a guy makes a mistake or does something where he might rub someone the wrong way or just do something stupid. I'm talking about young boys, really. I'm thinking like 13 to like 19. We do all kind of stupid shit. And it's typically because we don't know any better. And that's just part of being young is being naive and not knowing any better, right? And so, yeah, man, I think we don't need to demonize. I don't think femininity gets demonized. I think masculinity gets demonized. And you see men dressing up in dresses and shit, which is, bro, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But I'm not going to applaud you for it. Like, you don't get cookies, you don't get rewards. Like, but we have society saying, hey, it is better for you to be a nice man, a weak man, an effeminate man, a man who would never harm anyone. And it's like, no, you need men to be dangerous when it calls for danger, right? You want to be a man who is dangerous, who is capable of being dangerous, but who is wise enough to know when to and when not to be. That's the message that I think we need to be spreading.
And right now it's like they're talking about masculine energy is toxic.
No such thing. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity.
And it's crazy because it's like you want, just because you want a certain lifestyle, because you want a certain thing, that it's toxic. Especially I'm from a different generation. I was born in the 70s, and I was brought up completely different, and so I see how a lot of these relationships now, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like,
what's the craziest thing you think? Like, what are you seeing happen today that if you saw happen in like the 80s, they'd be like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, it's like if you're a man's man, there's something wrong with you. Like if you're the kind of man that wants, I'm not saying my wife has to be weighing on me hand and feet and everything like that, but there's roles into this. There's certain roles that we have, and they just don't want to. They just seem to like want to get rid of them.
Yeah, I agree. I think here's what I have a friend who said this. He said that.
Hold on one second. My apologies. Hold on one second. Just give me 1 second. Sorry, everybody out there. And in real life, I have my grandson here, and I have to pay attention to him right quick. Give me 1 minute. Sorry about that, everybody. My apologies. But yeah, where were we?
We were talking about masculinity.
And it being toxic. Yes.
Yeah, that's not a thing. I was saying that masculinity has made the world so safe that we almost don't value it. Not even almost, that it's not valued. I have a friend who says that women really every day wake up and think, "Oh, I don't need a man," or "We don't need men." And it's like, bitch, who do you think builds these roads in these buildings and in these machines and these, like, it's like there are so many men who are invisible to a woman.
Mhm.
Like the guys who are working on farms, who are building things, who are fixing things, who are maintaining things, who are cleaning things, right? And it's like, because there are hundreds of thousands and millions of men doing that, and now food shows up in the grocery store, and nail polish shows up at the fucking nail salon, and food shows up at the restaurant. It's like they think they don't need men. No, you don't need a man to be yours to take care of you. But if those men all stopped, your life would cease as you know it, right? So it's like the world is so safe that they really start to think that they don't need men, but it's like the world is safe because of men, right? Men don't come and attack our country because there are men at the borders keeping them from doing so. They know they will be hurt by other men, right? And I heard a comedian, Ryan Davis, say this, and I really did not like this when I first heard it, but he's true. He's right. He said the most dangerous thing to a woman is a man, right? Because the average woman cannot fend for herself against a man, right? And so when you look at that problem, I say, okay, if I have a daughter and I wanted her to be safe and the most dangerous thing to her is a man, well, then how does she defend herself? I don't think she tries to defend herself by herself. I think she finds a good man that wants to love, honor, and protect her, right? So I think it's more fair to say that the most dangerous thing to a woman can be a man if she chooses wrong. But most men aren't violent. Most people don't even know how to fight, right? So yeah, I think masculinity is not valued because we live in a world that is relatively so safe. Like, we're not in barbarian times. You're not having to barter for things. It's not, meet a woman, bonk her over the head, and drag her back to your cave. None of that shit is happening. So much so that women can go out, be drunk, be inebriated, ass out, titties out, and get back home safely without anything ever happening to her. Right? That in and of itself is a miracle.
I kind of know what's going to be answer this, but how do you feel with critics who say your message is too aggressive?
I don't care. They don't have to listen to me. They don't have to follow me. It's like, bro, I'm speaking to men and for men in a time where masculinity is not appreciated, bro. Like, I tell men, bro, my pillars are self-love, self-respect, self-acceptance, and gratitude, right? And when I talk about self-acceptance, going back to what I said earlier about, like, I learned more about human nature, then I learned more about male nature, and I'm learning more about myself in the process. And I start to realize, okay, there's nothing wrong with me, bro. Like, this is just my nature. For example, there was a point in time in history where women would be stoned when they got their periods, right? When they were bleeding, right? And it's like, how stupid is that? They can't control that. It's literally going to happen. It is in their nature.
Yeah.
Likewise, a man's nature is to want multiple women. That's just what it is. There are very, very, very few monogamous creatures in nature, and humans ain't one of them. Okay. So when I think about living an outstanding life and the best life I can, it's like, one woman is not what's best for me. I don't think one anything is what's best for anybody. One job, one source of income, one car, one home. Like, you're trying to sit here and tell me that to have no options and only have one option, because one is not even really an option, is what's best for me or what's best for men. That's not what's best for men. So then when women get out here and they're like, I don't understand why men cheat. It's so easy for me to be monogamous. Love. There's a hormone called oxytocin, right? It's the love hormone. It's the one that makes you feel good. Okay. This is the hormone that helps us bond between one another. And women are full of the shit. They have an excess of it. They have lots of it. And so this is why you hear some people say women are love, because they're full of that hormone. They're full of all kind of fucking hormones. But they're full of that one. Men, we have a significantly we have significantly less of that hormone in our body. Do you know when that hormone increases?
No.
When we're having sex and when we're bonding with children. Right? So in order for us to feel love how they feel it by default, we need to be fucking or rearing children. Right? So that's why it's harder for a man to be monogamous, especially in a relationship where a woman is not having sex with him. Come on, that's not the same thing. That's like me saying, well, I don't bleed once a month. Why the fuck do you bleed once a month? That would be stupid. Right? That's not in my nature. You wouldn't buy a dog and then get disappointed when it barks. Barking is in your dog's nature. So this is what I mean when I say self-acceptance, bro. Like, I don't care what people think, and I damn sure don't care what women think, especially not single women. I got a podcast coming up soon. I'm gonna say this, they're gonna hate it, but it's okay. So follow mathematics right here, Will. So 9% of the people who live in poverty in America today, or the last time I looked at this study, are married. So meaning 91% of the people who are in poverty are single. Okay. All men of all races out earn all women of all races. Like, not all. Like, there are there some. What I'm saying is the average black man earns more than the average black woman. The average white man earns more than the average white woman, so forth and so on, all races. Now, are there some women who out earn some men? Yes. But by and large, men are earning more than women. Have you ever walked by a piece of gold on the sidewalk?
A piece of gold?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Never. Why? Because someone would have picked it up way before you got there, right?
Yeah.
So I tell that to single women, especially after their 30s. It's like, baby, if you were so valuable, you wouldn't be out in these streets. Yeah. So when we look at the data, I say single women. Oh, there's one more piece of thing I gotta add. I have a mentor, he's had a lot of women, right? And I remember telling him, I was like, hey, or he said to me, I don't date broke women. And I said, why? Right? Because I had low expectations of women because I saw my mother make bad decisions. And he was like, because that's proof she's been making bad decisions her entire life. And I was like, damn, bro, that's so true. Because if you saw a broke guy, you'd be like, yeah, he's been making bad decisions his whole life. Yeah. So if you start to judge them by the same standards you judge men, you start to realize a lot of these bitches, they're just poor quality. So adding all of that up together, what conclusion do I come to specifically about single women? 1, they're the poorest people in this country. 2, they're not all that valuable because they be out of the streets. 3, they make bad decisions their entire life. The broke ones, right? Why in the world would I give a fuck what that demographic of people think? I think there's some people who say that, like, in order to vote, you should be married. Like households get votes, not single people. I'm not saying I agree with that, but I understand because the people who are in households have the resources, right? At that point, we're letting families make decisions on where the country is going, not individuals, right? So I'm not worried. I think this message resonates with men. And if it's a man who it doesn't resonate with, then he's probably a feminist and whatever, screw him. Or they're probably a woman and their feelings are hurt. And that's okay. It takes a masculine man to stand up and say, nah, we're not doing that around here. You can do whatever you want to do, but you're not doing that around me.
Well, what makes King's Corner different from other men's communities?
Man, it's a place where men can be open, honest, vulnerable, transparent. And honestly, bro, like depending on which of my offers we're working together on, it costs tens of thousands of dollars to work with me, right? King's Corner is a free community, right? Where I go live in the group once every other week. And it's like we're real men coming together to discuss real problems, real issues, real strategies on how to improve their lives and make themselves better, right? No judgment. And I honestly believe, man, men compete in different ways, right? So like you can compete financially, you can compete with like your physique, you can compete with, how smart you are, how tall you are, how good look. You can compete in all these other areas. And I don't care what anyone thinks. Well, actually, I'll ask you this question. What would it look like? Like, do you really think it's possible to live a great life where you win in all these fucking areas, but when it comes to women, you're clueless? Like you're alone. You don't know what you're doing. You keep getting taken advantage of. Like you're just not winning in that area, right? Do you think that would be a miserable life long term?
Yeah.
I agree. So no one is out here showing men like, bro, this is how you have an effective, productive, high quality, effortless relationship with women. That is an area of life that men have to conquer, which is totally different than being great in your career or having a great body or being really smart and intellectual. Like, women are that is a category in it of itself. And I've made every mistake that you possibly can. I've had every kind of relationship you can have with a woman except a sugar mama. Unless, a sugar mama is listening, I might be open. You know what I'm saying? Hit your boy up. But I've had every relationship, and I tell men, like, learn from my mistakes so you don't have to learn from them yourself. But inevitably, most men fall in love and then they start making stupid ass decisions anyway. So they're going to learn the lessons one way or another. And King's Corner is a place where we can kind of come together, congregate, and just improve as men.
Awesome. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Love yourself. Do what you want. Put yourself first. Love yourself. That's what I mean. I'm saying the same thing when I say love yourself. Put yourself first. Be incredibly selfish and do what you want. And just watch how fucking far you go.
Awesome. Well, we've come to the part of the show where you get the solo screen and you get to plug away. Let everybody know where they can find you. Everything.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, man. So if you're interested in the tech stuff, you want to learn how to get into the tech space, make 100,000, making $250,000, working from home, working less than 30 hours a week. You can find me on Instagram.com/the R as in Robert, P as in Paul, A as in Apple guy. Okay, that's the RPA guy on Instagram. And if you are interested in more of the masculinity content, then you can find me on Instagram /at King's Corner Podcast. And if you can't remember any of those things I just named, you go to my website. All my links to everything is there. It's makemeking.net. Tap in with me, get some coaching, get some game. Let me show you how to live an outstanding life, which is a life on your terms, where you're dealing with women who like you, love you, honor you for who you are, not what you have. Okay. And we're just gonna become the best version of yourself. And you would be shocked at just how good life can be, right? If you just get rid of all the shame, all the fear, stop focusing on what people think about you, only give a fuck what you think about you. Wake up every morning and make you proud. That's what we show you how to do.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Thank you for being such a great guest, man. Drop some great nuggets for men out there. I greatly appreciate you spending this time with me and you dropped some real gems, man. I greatly appreciate it.
I try, man. I'm trying. It was a pleasure. It was an honor to be here. Like I tell people, bro, I'm competing with Hugh Hefner, so you're gonna see me out here, and I'm gonna give back to the world, and I'm gonna do it in such a way they're gonna be like, damn. When he's gone, it's like, damn, bro, dude left the mark. My life is forever better because of him, and he had a lot of bitches too. You know what I'm saying? That's all I want to do.
All right, but don't leave just yet. Let me close out the show, bro, and we're gonna shout it off the air. But thank you, man, once again for being such a great guest.
Thank you, sir.
All right, everybody. Another great show is coming to an end. I greatly appreciate everybody for their patience earlier in the interview. I am so humbled for everybody out there who's tuning in, watching the live, catching the replay. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bells. As always, big shout out to my real Wize fan, Poppy J, Brandy J. Love you guys. Shout out to the boss lady. Love you and appreciate everything you do. And as always, a big shout out to all the essential workers out there. God bless y'all. Be safe. You know your boy Wize does it. Peace out.